What's up, y'all? Listen, man, welcome back. Welcome back. I'm really excited about this one. I say that all the time, but I'm genuinely excited, right? I'm really excited about this. We're starting a new series right now, and we're going to call this Outsiders. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we're outside with it. That's right, we outside with it. And what do I mean by that, right? Have you ever felt like this? I know I have, but I'm going to ask you. I don't fit in. I feel like I just don't fit in anywhere. I feel like I don't fit in here. I don't fit in there. I don't speak the language right here. I don't understand what they're talking about over here or there, right? Have you ever felt like that? Especially when it comes to your gifting, right? Your ability, your creativity. So that's what we're going to talk about. And dare I say sometimes, I don't even feel like I fit in at church. Huh? Can I say that? But we're going to talk about all of that in this series, right? And I hope it's a blessing to every person that watches it. But I want to start off with my creativity in the world. My creativity and how it relates in the world. I'm a believer, Marcus, but how do I navigate being a believer and being creative in the world? Well, I'm glad you asked that, because we're going to have some answers. One thing that we have to realize, the first thing, right, is that outside of our creativity, we have been called to be different, period. Outside of your creativity, we have been called to be different. End of story. So the feeling that you have, sometimes it's normal, right? So here's our working scriptures. 1 Peter, 2nd chapter, verse 9. But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of the darkness into his wonderful light. Here's another one for us. You must be holy. Why? Because I, the Lord, am holy. I have set you apart from all other people to be my very own. That's Leviticus 20:26. So naturally, you and I, we're going to feel like we don't fit in because we weren't meant to. And I believe once we embrace this, it can help us answer questions about how do we have our creativity relate in the world. So I have a story, right? Let me share the story with you. So I was doing a lot of gigging, a lot of performing, different artists, different musical genres. And, I have to be honest. I've been a believer for quite some time, but I never felt comfortable playing for certain artists. The music would be killing, but the lyrics would be killing me. I'd be back there cringing inside like, oh, do you have to say that? Like that, right now, right? But I was trying to get some advancement and grow my career. And as my career was growing, I never forget this experience. Let me share it with you. I was in an amphitheater. It's a big show. It was sold out. A lot of people there. So we were walking on stage, and as we were walking on stage in a line, people were clapping. They didn't even play a note yet. They're clapping. They're excited, right? So I sit down. I gave it my all. I soloed, went crazy, all that stuff. Standing ovation at the end of the show. The juxtaposition was crazy because as they're cheering, I felt empty inside. Now, I'm years into my profession, right? Making pretty decent money. Have a name for myself, a great reputation. But as they're cheering, I'm like, and they're screaming encore. I am feeling empty inside. So eventually we get off stage, we go to the green room, and I have a mentor that's within the band. And I sat and I talked to him. I said, hey man, how do you know when it's time to just like move on to the next situation? Now, I was asking musically, how do you know? Right? But looking back on it, I think I was asking a deeper question. Something needs to shift. This music thing is not fulfilling me like it used to. My appetite is different. I can't really explain it, but something's different. And he basically answered the question by saying, if you have to ask that question, that might be indication enough that it's time for you to move. right? If you're asking that type of question, that's an indicator that something's going on differently. And I don't know if you've been there, but I've been there. And I think sometimes we need those questions asked, right? And I think looking back on it, playing for all those artists that I played for, looking back on it, I think I was compartmentalizing my faith and my creativity, right? And this is what I had to realize. Marcus, before you're a creative, you're a child of God. Yeah. Before you are a creative, an entrepreneur, a business person, you're a child of God, right? And just like you, your gifting cannot be anywhere. Let's back up. What do I mean by that? Let's go back to the scriptures. You must be holy because I, the Lord, am holy. I have set you apart from all the other people to be my very own. Let's go back even further. But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of the darkness into his wonderful light. So what I'm saying is, just like you, your soul can't be anywhere and everywhere, your gift can't be anywhere and everywhere. Right? Because when God called you out of the darkness into the light, he didn't just call you out and your soul out. He called everything that he put within you out too. So that includes your creativity. That includes your creative mind, your business acumen. That includes all of it. He did not just save you and redeem you. He's redeeming the gifting and everything that he's put within you too. So remember that above our platforms, our gifting and ability, you're an ambassador for Christ. What does that mean? There is a passage in the Bible where it talks about being an ambassador for Christ, right? And basically, in the natural, an ambassador is someone who represents their country or government, right? That's in the simplest terms. They don't represent themselves. The late, great Dr. Miles Monroe has a great series or sermon talking about breaking down being an ambassador for Christ, right? And I encourage you, if you can, go check that out. Phenomenal teaching. But in the simplest way, if I can put it, an ambassador represents the person that they sent, the person that sent them, right? Their representative. And they don't represent what they think, their values, their views. They strictly represent who sent them, right? So here's my question. When you're in the studio session, because I think there's a great debate sometimes. I remember growing up, there's a debate. Should musicians who are believers play for secular artists? Right? Should I have OnlyFans? Well, if you're asking that question, right? I don't know if 15 minutes is going to cover that. We might have a different conversation. The answer is no. But there's questions like that. How do I navigate that? And I think we can get an answer like this. When you're in the studio session, the work that you're doing, is it reflecting what you represent? If you say you're a believer, right, it's not your views anymore. It's not what you think anymore. You're an ambassador. It's what God thinks. It's kingdom, right? When you're setting up the camera and hitting record, the content that you're recording, does it reflect what you represent? Right? The movie script that you're writing, does it reflect what you represent? Does your attitude, your business, the way you do people, right? The way you communicate with them, the way you treat them, does it reflect what you represent? Because once again, you're not your own. Because not only has your life been set apart, once again, your gifting has been set apart too. You can't compartmentalize your gifting and your faith. Listen, as we wrap up, I have a question. I really want you to think about this, right? I want you to think about this. The work that our hands are doing, right? The works that we do with our hands, right? Do you think it's something that God is proud of? Do you think it's something that he can be proud of? Based off of his character, not your opinion of him. Not what you think he's like, but what he's like based off of the Bible. Would you be proud of what you're producing with your hands, with your life? Is the content you're making reflect one of being holy? Now, let me stop here. I am not saying that if you have a Stanley Cup sponsorship, that you have to have Bible study during the commercial. No, I am not saying that. I am not saying that. What I'm saying to you is, regardless of what you're promoting, does it reflect what you represent? Do you think it's something that God would be proud of? Is it set apart? With the song, the lyric, the film that you make in this world, when they look at it, will they say, oh, that's different? Oh, that's set up. I don't know the language for it, but that's something about it. Something about when they walk into the room. Something about when their pen hits the paper. Something about when when I see their Instagram page. Yeah, they're using the same filters, but there's something different about their content. It's set apart. What is that? Right? It's almost like having a savings account. Now, for some people, a savings is like a checkings 2.0, right? It's not really a savings. No judgment here. I've been there too, right? But when you're putting money away in a savings account, it's different from your checkings account, right? It functions differently. It's set apart. So you do not draw that savings into your day-to-day transactions, your balance, whatever you do, bills, eating, whatever. It's set apart for a reason. And just like the checkings account, your gifting, your life, your heart, your mind, it's set apart. It can't go into every transaction. It can't be everywhere. It can't look like everything because it's set apart. And it's not because you make yourself holy. No, it's because God has made us holy. God has set us apart. Through Jesus Christ, He has set us apart. Right? I want to finish with the scripture. Therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. So let's cut all the stuff out. Let's cut off all the questions. How am I supposed to navigate this? It's right here in Romans 12:1. This is the answer. Offer your bodies as a living sacrifice. Offer your gift as a living sacrifice. Offer your mind as a living sacrifice. Holy, set apart, and pleasing to God. Because why? This is your true and proper worship. Worship is just not this. Raising your hands and speaking kindly of God, of how worthy He is. That's not just worship. It's an expression of worship. It's another side of it. I had a youth pastor growing up, and she said it like this, and I can hear it now. It's a life for a life. It's a life for a life. What do you mean? Christ laid down His life for us, so we don't have to die. Not physically. So now you're presenting your life as a living sacrifice for the life that He gave us in response. It's our reasonable duty. It's our reasonable service. It's our true and proper worship. You want to get closer to God? Deny yourself. Deny where you think you should go in your career. How you think you should be in your career. How you think you handle your gifting. Because you can't compartmentalize something that's never yours in the first place. It's something that He gave you. So He's redeemed all of that. He's redeemed all of it. I hope you enjoyed this one. I'm excited for the series. Next week, we're going to talk about the church. That's right. Feeling like an outsider, even in the church. Right? Guys, as always, like, subscribe, share. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of this journey. I'll see you next time. And as always, stay creative.